Hi, everybody. I'm Tanya Pahuja, and I'm a technical account manager here at AWS. I'm based out of Delhi, India. Welcome to AWS Supports You, where AWS support experts provide tips to optimize performance in the cloud, lower cost, and provides you with the best practices and design considerations. Joining me today is Naveen and Akhilesh from AWS Support. Can you give us a quick introduction, Naveen and Akhilesh?
Thanks, Tanya. Hello, everyone. My name is Naveen Kumar Jindal. I'm a technical account manager in AWS Enterprise Support with over 8 years of experience in the OTT industry. I'm based out of Delhi, India. Over to you, Akhilesh.
Hey, thanks, Naveen. Hi everyone. My name is Akhilesh Parashar. I'm a specialized technical account manager for media and entertainment. I'm based out of Mumbai and I'm supporting all the big media customers across the APJ region. With this, I'm handing over the session to Tanya.
Thank you, Naveen. Thank you, Akhilesh. Today, we will be talking about launching your live OTT channel using AWS Media Services. But before we get into the details, a quick note to the attendees online. Please feel free to use the chat window on the right hand side of your screen to let us know where you are joining us from today, and also share your thoughts and any questions that you have throughout the episode. We would look forward to hearing from you. We will also provide you a link to our survey so that, if you would like to let us know how we did, please click on that link and leave your feedback there. With that, can you walk us through what we all would be covering today, Naveen?
Yes, Tanya, definitely. So we'll begin by talking about an enterprise customer success story to show how they leverage the workflow wizard to launch their OTT channels in a matter of minutes. Then we'll cover some basics about OTT. We'll talk about an OTT workflow and what are the AWS offerings in all of those steps. We'll then talk about a basic live channel workflow, which will explain how a live channel can be created by leveraging the media services. We'll show two demos. One talking about the creation of a live channel using the AWS Media Services by leveraging the workflow wizard. The second demo will talk about the monitoring dashboard that we create to monitor our media services. And finally, we will wrap the session by talking about some best practices that the customers can follow while reaching out to AWS support. And we'll be sharing important links towards the end of the session, which will help everyone get started with their journey to by using the media services. So, without further ado, let us get started. So, let us look at an AWS Enterprise customer success story. A major content producer in India was launching an OTT application to expand their reach as they were primarily heavy on satellite. They had presence all over India, but they wanted to expand their reach further, and their use case was very simple. They wanted to launch an OTT application with over 100 channels in a single month. They also wanted to create a monitoring platform for their end to end OTT solution monitoring and to troubleshoot issues on their OTT infrastructure. So, with this simple use case, they wanted something like a simple one stop solution which could help their cause. And they were facing some challenges. The biggest challenge was their knowledge and experience was on application development and core video. That is, they were more, they had knowledge on head end. They did not have any knowledge about, say, the cloud platform. They did not have any knowledge about things like cloud formation or lambda, and they were looking for a one-stop platform or solution which they could leverage to launch all of these channels in two regions for disaster recovery purposes. And their existing infrastructure was very difficult to manage. The current setup was taking at least an hour to create even a single channel in one region, which meant for the creation of two channels, they would take like 4 hours in two regions, which was time consuming. And monitoring of the infrastructure involved a lot of manual effort. They had to integrate a lot of third party tools and solutions to create a simple monitoring dashboard. They found the solution to all of these problems in the form of AWS managed services. They were able to launch their OTT channels by leveraging the workflow wizard to launch a single channel in less than 10 minutes. We will walk through the workflow wizard in a demo towards the end of the session. They were able to create a monitoring dashboard using predefined matrices and also created custom matrices to monitor their infrastructure. Again, we'll talk about a monitoring dashboard which can be created by using Amazon CloudWatch in this session. And finally, they were also able to create real-time alerts with the help of CloudWatch and Amazon SNS. So AWS acted as a one-stop platform for the customer to launch their OTT infrastructure seamlessly. Having seen a customer success story, let us now look at OTT in general and how the traditional media supply chain was. So OTT basically stands for over the top video, which means the video streams are made available to the end users over the internet. Traditionally, the media supply chain was fragile and rigid. The content was produced in one place and then transported to another for further processing and finally delivered to the end users. This meant that there was very little room for flexibility and personalization. This also meant that the delivery was slow and it required a lot of planning well ahead of time. As a result, some innovation had to happen, and the innovation happened in the form of cloud. So, with migration to the cloud, the entire control came in a single place. AWS offers a lot of managed services which enables you to maintain the same video quality along with increased scalability, flexibility, and reliability. You can now make your content available to end users on various platforms in minutes rather than days. AWS offers plenty of managed services to make sure that the video streams are made available to the end users seamlessly. We did see a customer success story on how they leverage the managed services to create their OTT infrastructure. So, AWS offers plenty of managed services which can help you in your journey towards migrating your OTT infrastructure to the cloud. So, having seen the basics of OTT, we would now see simple OTT workflow. A simple OTT workflow can be divided into 5 steps before it reaches the end user to stream on various players. It always begins with contribution. So, contribution is a step where the content is transported or acquired in the cloud. The second step is transcoding. So, transcoding is a process where a content is processed to reduce the size to stream it easily over the internet. This step is very important in OTT because no matter how fast the internet speeds have become now, they're still not enough to transport raw uncompressed video to all the end user devices. Also, not all end user devices can support high quality video content. So you can think of transcoding as an intelligent step where a raw video is taken and compressed in such a way that the important bits still remain to be played on the end user devices, but the size actually goes down, and the size goes down tremendously. We will see a file based transcoder in the upcoming slides to understand the magnitude of how the size is reduced when the transcoding happens. After the transcoding step is done, the stream is further processed by an origin or stored on a distributed storage like S3 before getting delivered to the end users from the CDN. The further processing on origin can involve things like just-in-time packaging to convert streams to formats like HLS, Dash, Smooth, or CMAF, depending upon the user that plays the device. And it also can add encryption layer or DRM protection layer on your streams to ensure that your streams are only accessed by users who are authorized to access it. And once the origination happens, it undergoes further processing in the form of personalization. This is an optional step, but this is an important feature as it includes user relevant advertisements to make your content relevant for the end users, thereby increasing viewership as well as using this opportunity to monetize your streams using impressions. With the help of monetization and personalization, the tuning of users into the stream is maintained because users are presented with the advertisements which are relevant for them. For example, if a person is into sports, using the monetization part of your OTT workflow, you can show them uh, sports relevant advertisement. Thereby, the relevancy increases and also the continuity of people into the advertisement also increases. And by using these advertisements, the content providers are able to make money out of it by using the impressions which increase as and when advertisements are played back. And finally, distribution is a process where the streams are delivered to the end users using local caching servers, thereby improving quality and efficiency. So, having seen the OTT workflow blocks, I would like to say that AWS offers managed services in all of these areas. So, it acts like a one stop platform to configure your OTT streams, be it VOD or live use case. So, starting with VOD, AWS offers a service called Elemental Media Convert, which can process your mezzanine video file and transcode it at up to 25x of speed. The size of your file reduces drastically, but the quality is still maintained. It supports plenty of codecs and containers, and the transcoded output is then stored on a distributed storage system like S3, which acts as an origin on your for your CloudFront CDN. The CloudFront CDN delivers the content to millions of users worldwide using its edge location spread across the globe. So for Live, AWS provides a contribution encoder called AWS Elemental Live. This is a physical encoder that is mounted in your data center. It can be used to contribute streams to a service on AWS called Media Connect, which can seamlessly stream into a media package, or Elemental Live can directly ingest into an origin called Media Package, or it can also store directly on a distributed storage system like S3 or Media Store. And Media Connect will increase the reliability as it offers protocols like Zixi. As explained earlier, Media Connect streams into Media Live, which is a cloud-based encoder where further transcoding happens. And from Media Live, you can also directly stream into a distributed storage like S3 or Media Store, or it can undergo further processing to do things like just-in-time packaging or DRM encryption by leveraging Media Package. In both of these workflows, the personalization aspect is optional, but AWS offers a service called Media Tailor, which can be used to insert advertisements during this ad breaks. And CloudFront can be used as a CDN to distribute the streams to the end users. Uh, the end users are typically third party players ranging from, say, an Apple device to an Android device or Xbox or PlayStation. So, having seen the media service offerings and basic OTT workflow blocks, I would pause here to see if there are any questions from the audience, Tanya, at this moment.
Yep. There's one question that I would like to bring it up on behalf of the audience. Can I contribute from my on-premise encoder to the AWS Media package directly, like without using the cloud-based encoder and Media Connect?
Yes, that's an interesting question, Dania. So yes, definitely you can contribute directly from your from your on-premise encoder into media package. The
Mhm.
input format supported on media package is HLS. So as long as your on-premise encoder supports HLS output, you can directly push into media package and avoid using cloud-based encoding, or avoid using Media Connect if your use case does not require.
Got it. Thank you, Naveen. I think that was really helpful. No further questions from the audience.
Thanks, Tanya. So, having seen the AWS media service offerings, I'll now pass over the baton to my colleague Akhilesh, who would walk through the live streaming workflow in detail and also cover some basic services that we use in the live streaming workflow. Over to you, Akhilesh.
Thanks, Naveen. Thank you so much for sharing the information and insight on the AWS Media Services. Now I'm going to take you through with the high level architecture of the live streaming workflow. And this is a very common live streaming workflow used by all the media customer. And I have one of the biggest media customer in India who is using a similar workflow to deliver the live streaming to their end users. So a typical live streaming workflow would involve the contribution of the video stream from an on-premises contribution encoder into the cloud. And these streams are taken as an input to the Media Connect, which offer the reliable, secure streaming into the Media Live. And the output of the Media Live goes into the HLS format, which act as an origin for the CDN. Now, I'm going to share some more insight on the AWS Media services used in the live streaming workflow. The first of the services which I'm talking about, the Media Connect, and the Media Connect is a fully managed services which helps you reliable transport live video and it's provide high quality uninterrupted delivery of the stream over the standard internet protocol. And the media connect support the different the source and the output protocol to deliver that stream. It supports just like a different protocol like SIRT, reliable transport protocol, RTP, and the GXI protocol, and as well as support that other protocol just like a SRT, which is with the push and the pull format both. It secure your video stream and ensure that the content is only shared with the authorized partner and the customer using security group. And this Media Connect services is well integrated with the CloudWatch and offer over 15 critical metrics which can be monitored to identify issue with your streams. The next services in the live streaming workflow is AWS Media Live, which is used for the transcoding the source stream to generate the AVR profile. The customer can configure the different bitrate and resolution when creating that AVR profile into the configuration. And the Media Live supports plenty of the feature like ad marker, which can be used to monetize your content into the live streaming. And Media Live also support for the image overlay, which you can use to ingest that the channel logo on your live streaming. And Media Live also offers the caption, which can be displayed on all the end user devices. Okay. And Media Live, it is easy and simple to manage and deploy. Media Live is well integrated with the CloudWatch, which is offering plenty of the metrics to monitor the status of your channel, which you can that monitor your channel and can identify that any issue which you face in the live streaming. And Media Live also offer flexible deployment option like single pipeline and the standard pipeline. And the standard pipeline have that the flexibility when with the resiliency. For example, if one of the pipeline goes down, then the other pipeline will be taken over, and your live streaming will work without any interruptions. And if we come for the cost optimization part, customer can also optimize the cost with the reserve offering with the 12-month commitment, which provides approximately 75% discount over the on-demand pricing. The next services I'm talking about that the Elemental Media packages, which is also the fully managed origin, which packages the content for a wide range of end user devices and the platform. It offers digital video recording like feature like a scrollback, content recording and it is also integrated with the range of digital right management provider like a Fairplay, Google Bytevine, EasyDRM for the securing of the your stream. And you can also use the media packager to classify AVR stream for variety of the end users. And the media packages also you can use that the origin endpoint for the HLS, CMAF, as well as for the MSS, which is the Microsoft Smooth Streaming. That also you can use in the media packager. For example, the top quality of the renditions can also stream to the premium subscriber using the Elemental Media Packager manifest, which filtering concept, thereby preventing another transport process. Media Packager use the redundant input distributed infrastructure for reliable output and the automatically scale as audience demand grows for the originations. So with this, I'm just handing over the session to my colleague Naveen, who will take you through with the quick demo of the live channel.
Thanks,
Sure.
Akhilesh, for covering the basic live streaming workflow. Before we head into a demo, Tanya, I would like to check if there are any questions that the audience have or any questions that you may have that you want us to answer.
Yeah, I think there's one question that we have from the audience. So, the question is it possible to automate the deployment of a live channel using AWS Media Services?
Yes, that is exactly what we plan to show right now. So, deployment of a live channel using AWS Media Services is very much possible. We have something called the Workflow Wizard, which is based on CloudFormation, which can be leveraged. And within a matter of, say, 5 minutes, you can deploy an end to end live channel by leveraging all the media services, starting from Media Connect to Media Package, and it will also end up creating a CloudFront distribution for you. This is exactly what we're going to show in a demo from like in a minute from now.
Sounds great. The audience, I think JibJab06 had this question. So, we look forward to the demo and we really, I hope that answers the question which he has. Thank you.
Sure. Thanks, Tanya. So, having seen the media services in detail and understanding the live workflow, we will quickly see how to launch an OTT live channel using the workflow wizard, which is clubbed as a part of your media live service. This wizard can create an end-to-end channel using all the media services and also can create a CloudFront CDN distribution for you. So to create the channel, you would search for Media Live in your search box of your AWS account and then select the workflow wizard. So once the window pops up, I would select the workflow wizard and then click on create workflow. The wizard will prompt you to enter some basic details like the name of the workflow, the type of media live channel class, and the IAM role. So the workflow name must be meaningful so that you can refer to it in the future. The channel class can be standard or single pipeline depending upon your use case. And an important tip about the IAM role. So if you use the wizard for the first time, the wizard will prompt you to create an IAM role. An IAM role, as you may already know, is an important part in AWS because it gives all the necessary permissions, which is uh, which is required to launch all your media services. So ahead of this session, I'd already created an IAM role, but it is very simple to create. We will share the links on how to create an IAM role for media services towards the end of the session. So here I'm entering, a basic workflow name like a test wizard one, which can be referenced later. For simplicity purpose, I would force the wizard to create a single pipeline, and then I'll choose the existing IAM role from the drop-down list, which I created ahead of this session, and then click on next. So once I move on, the wizard will then prompt me to choose an input. My input is stored on S3, so it is a static MP4 file. I'll choose an MP4 input, and then I'll force the wizard to create a new input for me. So once you select create a new input, you'll be prompted to enter the URL, which is an S3 URL in my case. So the URL will be provided. And then once you click on next, you would be prompted to choose an output group. So the output can be anything from, say, media package to an live stream on Facebook, Twitch, or YouTube. I'll choose media package for this use case. And you can then choose your video quality, which can be standard or enhanced. I would choose standard. And then finally, you would choose your media package destination. Either use an existing channel or create a new channel. I would choose create a new channel. And then you can choose your media package video renditions as well. The renditions can be seen from the drop down list. I'll choose the default ones. And finally, you would get a review and create resources page. So once you're comfortable and once you confirm that the workflow wizard will create all the users, all the resources exactly in the same way as you want, you can click on next. And finally, you would be presented with a screen. So in this screen, you would see that the wizard is going to create an input, a media package endpoint channel with three endpoints, a CloudFront distribution, and a media live channel of single pipeline. So once you click on create workflow, the status would change from pending to create in progress, and the status of individual resources will change from create in progress to create complete. So you can then migrate to individual resources to pull the playback URLs, which can be embedded on your players or on your browsers to do a successful playback of a stream. So within a matter of a few clicks and a few buttons, you would be able to create an end-to-end live channel by leveraging the workflow wizard. It would hardly take, say, 4 to 5 minutes. And by leveraging the workflow wizard, you can launch your channel seamlessly without thinking about any kind of integration. So before we move on to see another demo about the monitoring dashboard, I would like to check with Tanya if there are any questions from the audience regarding the wizard or regarding any topics that we have covered so far.
Yeah, I think one quick question that I would just like to bring up on behalf of the audience, Naveen, are there any charges that we have for using the wizard?
Yeah. So the workflow wizard will not result in any charges. It is just the underlying resources which the wizard creates for you will be charged. For example, if you create an input channel or an input on for your media live channel, that is all you would be paying for. The wizard will not incur any charges.
Okay. And just a follow up question. So, how do we delete the resources that are getting created by using the wizard? Like,
Ex-
does they just stays, or if you can just shed some more light onto it, please?
Yep, exactly. So that's a good question because it creates a lot of resources, and without having a clear understanding of where the resources are created, it might be a tedious task to delete the resources, one after the other. So the wizard has been created in such a way that you go to the wizard console and then you click on delete the wizard, which will delete all the underlying resources which it created for you. So it's seamless. You don't have to go into the console, search for a service, and then delete them one by one. You can just delete the wizard or delete the workflow, and all the underlying resources which the wizard created for you will be deleted. The IAM role will still remain, but everything else apart from that will be deleted, which usually incur charge. IAM role would not incur any charge.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Naveen. I hope this is going to be helpful for the audience watching this particular episode. Thank you. No further questions, so we can move on.
Thanks, Tanya. So, having seen the workflow wizard, we would now see a demo of a monitoring dashboard that we can create for media service troubleshooting. So, so media services are very well integrated with Amazon CloudWatch, and Amazon CloudWatch, as you may already know, is a very good monitoring service provided by AWS for your troubleshooting purposes or for your monitoring purposes. And we will see how media service monitoring can be done with the help of Amazon CloudWatch. All the media services are very well integrated with CloudWatch, which can help you troubleshoot issues with your playouts easily. So, to look at the available metrics on your media package channel, you would click on your media package channel and then go under metrics, where you would see pre created metrics like ingress bytes, ingress response time, egress bytes, and so on. And these matrices can be used as and when required. For example, if you're troubleshooting an issue with your with buffering, you may look at the egress response time. If there is a spike in the egress response time from media package, then it can be linked with the buffering that you see on your players. If you're looking at, say, you can tie that up with your encoder as well by looking at the ingress response time. And if there is a spike in your ingress response time, then it means that the issue is upstream of your media package, which is basically an encoder. In this case, it might be media live. So you can use these matrices depending upon the issue that you're troubleshooting, and you can zoom in as and when required. You can also add them to a dashboard, and you can also change the granularity and also change the refresh rate. And there are metrics for media live as well. So to look at the media live metrics, you go into media live, select the health tab, and under the health tab you would see pre-created matrices like network in, network out, input video frame rate, and these can be leveraged as per your use case and as per the issue that you're troubleshooting. So having seen the matrices, the default matrices on Media Live and Media Package, let us explore a Amazon CloudWatch dashboard, which I created ahead of this session. So this dashboard is created using all the available or default metrics which AWS has created for you. So you can use the dashboard to zoom into a single time window depending upon the issue that you're troubleshooting. You can also use the dashboard to change the refresh rate. So the refresh rate can be anything from, say, 1 minute to 30 seconds depending upon your use case, which will append the data to your dashboards as and when they are received. You can also change the granularity from, say, 1 minute to 30 days, which will average out the data before adding them to your dashboards. So for my use case, I would leave it to, say, 30 seconds. And with this, the granularity of my data gets averaged out and gets added every, say, 10 seconds. And apart from these default matrices, you can also add more matrices as and when required. For example, if you see here that my egress response time contains the response times from both HLS and Dash. So I would, walk through the steps of adding a new widget for HLS egress response time. So you click on the plus button and then choose the type of graph, which is line in this case. And once you select the type of graph, you would be presented to choose either metrics or logs. Since a pre-created metric is available, I would choose metric and then choose the service, which is media package, and then choose per origin endpoint. And then finally, you would be presented with a list of pre-created metrics which is available for your use case. So I would choose egress response time. And once selected, you can change the granularity. So I would change the granularity from 5 minutes default to 1 minute to ensure that the data is averaged every 1 minute. And then I'll click on the create widget button. So once this is done, you would see a new window getting populated on your dashboard, which is specific to HLS. So you can rename to give it a meaningful name. I would just append, HLS for my future references so that I know what this graph is presenting to me. And once I click on apply, this setting would be saved for my future use. And you can add matrices from other services as well if required, and also create your custom matrices from logs. So I would now walk through a step to which explains how to add a metric from media live. So you would follow the same steps: click on plus button, click on line graph, select media live, and then channel ID pipeline, and finally network out. So this network out is an important metric which is basically ingress into media package. So if you're troubleshooting an end-to-end workflow, network out plays an important role. I would follow the same steps again by changing the period to 1 minute so that my data is granular, and then finally click on create widget. A new window will then get added onto the screen. I'll change the name to something meaningful for my future reference, and then click on apply. So this way you can add as many matrices as you want for your troubleshooting. And you can also leverage the CloudWatch logs to add custom matrices which are not created for your use case. Um, uh, if you're actively looking at an issue where you feel that the media package is not getting an ingest from, say, media live, you would zoom into, say, the network out as shown, and you would be able to see whether there was any dip from media live at all, which would mean that media live was not ingesting effectively into media package. And that way you would be able to rule out any issues related to your inputs. And so in a matter of few clicks and few plus buttons, you can add as many widgets as required. And that way, monitoring of media services becomes seamless and it is very easy. And I understand that adding these widgets can be difficult at times, so we have curated cloud formation templates which can be leveraged to deploy these dashboards seamlessly. So having seen the monitoring dashboard, I would check with Tanya if there are any questions about the monitoring which the audience have at this moment.
Yeah, Naveen, this is really helpful. One question, is there any automated way to deploy these monitoring dashboards?
Yep, exactly. So we do have CloudFormation templates pre-created. We have various blog posts which explain how to deploy these dashboards seamlessly. So we'll be sharing the links towards the end of the session, which the audience can use to get started with their monitoring journey of media services by leveraging the CloudWatch dashboards and CloudFormation.
Great. Thank you, Naveen. So we'll be sharing the links. So if I think that is going to be really helpful to go through to the steps to deploy these monitoring dashboards automatically. Thanks, Naveen. That was helpful.
Great. Thanks, Tanya. So I would then move on. So, there can be situations where you might still have to reach out to AWS support for, assistance regarding the issues that you're facing. We will talk about some best practices that AWS recommends you to follow when contacting AWS support regarding, media services. So we have categorized them into two parts, which is, best practice or a mandatory one, and then the optional part. So, the mandatory portion includes the resource ARN. This is your Media Live, Media Connect, or Media Package ARN. And the another thing that is super important to share is the timestamp of the issue. An exact timestamp would be great, but a rough timestamp also works, which will help the support engineers to dive deep into granular metrics to find out what was the root cause behind the issue that you reported. Along with these, if the following things are shared, the support engineers will be able to better assist you, like things like screenshots showing the issue in case you see a black screen or flickering output on your playback devices. If you're able to share the capture of your source to rule out issues related to your input, that would be great. You can all I mean, if you're able to share your logs from the CDN to rule out CDN related issues, so that we are focusing on the right service. And finally, a har capture from the playback device will give the support engineer good enough insight about how the playback looked like on the end user device when the issue was reported. So mandatory things along with optional will help the support engineers help much faster, and will help us find out the root cause of the issue by looking at the right service at a faster pace. So with this, we come to an end. So, as mentioned earlier, we would be sharing some important links with you. We would put them on the chat for you so that you can leverage the documentation and the blogs to get started with your media service journey. With this, we end the session. Tanya, are there any questions that you may want us to answer?
I don't see any further questions from the audience, so I guess we are good. Thank you, Naveen, and thank you, Akhilesh, for taking us through this. Everyone, today we looked at how to launch your live OTT channel using AWS Media Services. If there are any questions that were not answered today, you can post your questions on repost.aws, where one of our experts can provide you with an answer to your question. And maybe your question could also become a topic of one of our future shows. And if you have any feedback for us, please check the chat box on the right hand side for a link to our survey. Or you can also email us at awssupportsyou@amazon.com. We would really want to hear from you. Tell us what else you would like us to, present on next shows. Also, please join us in next 2 weeks, that is November 9th at 10 a.m. IST, where we would be exploring further about the AWS Elemental Media Tailor Services. So that's about it for today's show. Thank you again for joining us at AWS Supports You. Thank you, Naveen and Akhilesh. Happy cloud computing, everyone.
Yeah, thanks everyone.
Everyone.